Hello, this is siriussimmer and welcome to part 2 of my custom likes and dislikes tutorial. So, if you haven't watched part 1, I'm going to put the link in the description along with all the other resources that you need to complete this tutorial. In part 1, we located our object function tag. For those of you who were here and remember, we renamed our tuning resources and we created a string table resource. In part 2, we're going to make changes within the body of the XML. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to jump right in and remember to like and subscribe. Thank you so much. So we are gonna go ahead and now work on a trait as an example. So I want to do the trait for sim preference likes activities soccer. I'm gonna open it up wide, you guys. Okay, so once we go into the trait, we notice a few things. Let me just again make sure our tuning IDs are the same. Okay, here we have a tuning resource called BB filter tags. Okay, and this is where we're going to put the function tag that we got earlier. See, I've left a little note for you guys. Something I want to point out, well, actually a few things I want to point out. The words in green here for like very beginner modders, they do not do anything to the game. They do not change anything about the game. They are literally just notes to self, and they're very important for when you want to come back in later. Maybe you've made a mistake, so you can know what all these random numbers mean, like what they're referring to. So always leave notes to yourself and always change a note if you've changed the XML. So also here, if you're not understanding what any of these mean right here, like ages, BB filter tag, buffs, cast, conflicting traits, display name, this is a point where you would use the tuning description browser that I would have talked to you about in the introduction. Open it up, search for these, figure out what they do. It's such a helpful tool, and go for it. Okay, so first thing we're going to change in this resource is where I have changed the BB tag found in step 1. I'm going to change that to say found in object catalog. I mean, it was step 1, but still. So it's function underscore softball. Okay. Next, we don't have to change this buff. This is a note here that was left by EA. You'll be able to tell the difference between my notes and EA's notes because my notes either start with change or they start with creator name. And so you'll know that was a note there left by me for you. So it's formatted a totally different way. Next change we have to make is conflicting trait. Conflicting trait meaning the opposite trait. So since we're doing the trait for likes activity soccer, this will obviously be the trait for dislikes activity soccer. Let's change our note real quick so we know what we're referring to. Oh. And then we're going to paste right here the tuning ID for the dislikes soccer trait. So if you go down here to this little drop down arrow that says local tunings, you're going to find the tuning IDs for all of the resources that are currently in the game. So let's just find the ID for dislikes 170. Okay, copy it and then you paste it right in there. Okay, next they want us to add a display name. This is so this is just gonna say like soccer, so likes your custom preference. And to add this is gonna be text obviously, so we are going to need to use our string table and make a hash text. Okay, so firstly let's open up our hash generator. Let's name the text literally what it is on the tin, text. Okay, so actually I lost some footage earlier. That's what was the problem, but I resolved the issue. And so we're gonna pick up right where we left off, which was creating a hash for likes soccer. Open up our hash generator. I made the text siriussimmer text underscore like soccer. Copy it. We're gonna open up our string table resource. We're gonna go to edit items, add, paste. And the value tab, this is the text that's going to show up in the game. So whatever you paste here will show up, or should. So yet again, make sure you save this. We're gonna go back to our trait, likes activity soccer, and we're going to paste that number we just got behind the X here. So the next one change that needs to be made is our, oh, you know, earlier I did say all my changes had the word change or creator name in front of them, but actually when there's a time to change text, I just put it as the text. But you can go into obviously my examples folder and see all the changes I've made, and honestly after a while it becomes obvious where you need to put it in. Okay, so display name gender neutral is our next change. So I based my mod off of the violin likes and dislike, and they had two different hashes for like soccer and like soccer for gender neutral, even though they said the exact same thing. So we're gonna go ahead and make two hashes for that as well. Boop. And we're just gonna put GN here, get the new FMV32 code, go down to our string table resource, edit items, add an item, in the key, paste the FMV32 code, and put like soccer. Don't put like soccer GN, just put likes soccer. It's gonna save it. Then we're gonna go into our trait again and paste the hash. Okay. Okay, next we are going to change our icon that will appear in Create a Sim in our trait menu. So I've left a note for you here, guys, here that says change to your custom preference icon. Trait icons are usually 64 by 64. If I realize that number was incorrect, I'll let you guys know, but I think it was the right one. And I'll obviously make the change in the package file that I upload to my page. So to find the instance number of the image that we're going to paste right here, why did I just do that? We're going to paste right here. We're going to go up here to tools and then go to game file cruiser, scroll down, select DST image, wait for it to load, and select thumbnails. We're just going to go ahead and make this bigger. And then we're going to scroll down and look for a soccer ball trait icon that we can use for our reference. So I've already found it because I have made it before. I want to try to find the trait section again for you guys though, but this might take a while, so I probably will fast forward through this and get back to you guys. Okay, so I finally found the trait section in the game file cruiser. It's so hard to search through. If anyone knows a better way to search through this, please let me know. I hate the game file cruiser, even though I love to have access to all the images here. And so as you can see, trait sizes are usually 64 by 64. We're gonna look for our dear soccer ball. It's literally like finding a needle in a haystack. There she blows. Okay, great. We're gonna copy that, and we're going to paste that right here into our XML. So the size of the image is actually very important. You might get like an error message if you have an image that's too small or too big. I'm not entirely sure what the rule is there, because I've definitely had times where I put an image that was just a different size and it worked. So you kind of have to play it by ear. I think you can't go too small, but you can go a bit bigger, but don't quote me on that. Just try to find the right image size. Okay, next they want us to add the tuning ID for our preference item. So again, go to local tunings, find our preference item. See it right here. And we're gonna go ahead and paste that right there. Now we need the trait description, and our trait description is literally just our custom preference, the name of it. So for us, that's soccer. It's text again, so we're gonna go ahead and add our text. Oops, let's close that out. First, we gotta go to our hash generator. People, okay, and it just says soccer. Get the hash for that, which is this. And then click edit items, add an item, paste, soccer. Okie dokie. We want to save that, and we want to go to back to our trait, which is, oh, it's right here. I was already in it. Incident. So everything within this we've changed, and that's great. Now we need to go to its corresponding sim data file and make necessary changes within there. It's right under it. So we see here under baby filter tags, we have to change this number right here. I've not put notes in the sim data file because I've never seen anyone do that, so I don't know if that could actually hurt your game. Like I said, I'm relatively a beginner too. I've never seen notes in here, so I'm not about to go put notes in there. So, but this number right here is the number we found in our first step when we found our function tag. So it's the number, the value associated with our function tag, which I believe is 65540. Let me open up my sticky note to be sure. Of course. It is 65540, okay? Next thing to change down here, we don't have to change these. We have to change our conflicting traits, okay? And right here in table set reference, we're gonna put the tuning ID for our dislikes activity trait. Which is her, there she blows. Okay, I don't know why I keep saying there she blows like I'm some pirate or something. I don't know, I'm so sorry. So in our display name, I should have set this to 0 so you guys could have known what it was. Anyway, in our display name, we're gonna go back into our XML, get our hash for our display name, which is this number. Copy it, take it over there, paste on down. We also have to paste our icon that we just got. Okay, open it up, paste it in there. Okay. Okay, now we want to get our trait description, which is the hash down here for soccer. Copy it, go back to our sim data file and paste it. So you're not always going, so you always want to make the necessary changes in your sim data file if they are required. Most likely there will be a required change that you need to make, but I know that one of these buffs down here, I believe it's this one, buffs and preference, recent, dislikes, the both ones that have recent in and buff sim preference recent likes, which is all the way up there. When you go to its sim data file, there are no changes to make, I presume, because this is an invisible buff. You see right down here it says visible false. This is a hidden buff. So when you go to its sim data file, there's nothing for you to change here. Okay, so, and that the same goes for recent likes soccer. If there's another instance of a sim data file for a tuning resource not needing to be modified in any way, I'll put it up on the screen and let you guys know, but right now I think that's the only one. These are the only ones that don't need that. Okay, so let's go back to our trait we were just working on. So now that you know how to create text with a string table and the hash generator, and to look for images in the game file cruiser, I'm gonna go ahead and let you guys make the changes within the XML. As I've said, I've put notes in here to help you guys along the journey, but I am about to go make note of a few of these tuning resources that I think you'd need some clarification with. Okay, so the first two resources I want to make note of is our social interaction. Well, there's two of them, so our social interactions. And it's one called Socials Targeted Friendly Sim Preference Recent Like Soccer. And the reason I want to point them out to you, point out where the changes are going to be made, is because if you scroll down this, it's so freaking long. And I know it would be daunting to have to go in yourself. I'm sorry. And try to figure out, where are the changes? And you could easily miss it. So what we're going to do is we're going to collapse this over here. So you see right here is the display name. This is the interaction that's going to show up in the friendly pie menu in the game that says enthuse about your custom preference, enthuse about soccer, enthuse about violin, enthuse about this, enthuse about that. So we're going to close them up and we're going to come down here. Let me make this wider since it is quite long. Where we are going to be making changes within the outcome, but I just want to close up the entire thing so you guys, so it's maybe less confusing. Okay, so now we're going to open back up the outcome tab, and you see here, which this note belongs to this. Every time I save this, the note goes to the next line. So if you guys see the note in the next line, it's referring to the thing above it, not the thing below it. Referring to the tuning above it. Okay, so here we need to find our headline image for violin, and you do that just by going to the game file cruiser just like we did before, except this time your headline image would be 128 by 128 in size, so it's a lot bigger. So please make note of that. Sorry, I keep opening up that thing. I'm gonna scroll down again, another headline image right here, same place. Okay, and then you put in the instance ID like we just did for our trait icon image. Again, another headline image right here. And then again down here, we actually need the tuning ID for our likes activity custom preference trait. Keep scrolling. Once again, a headline image. And then down here, we need the tuning ID for our dislikes activity custom preference. So our next social interaction, which is the socials targeted friendly sim preference recent dislikes, so the one right under it, the same changes would need to be made, except the tuning IDs for likes and dislikes would be opposite. So let's just go down just so you guys can see that. So here we are, we're in the file just like we were before. It looks exactly the same, except first we're going to put the tuning ID for dislikes, and we are going to put the trait tuning ID for likes at the bottom. So up here also, And we're going to do this in both the social interactions. Let me just close them up. Close them up. You are going to actually add text to the string table, and this is the text that's going to appear, your interaction is going to appear as. You don't have to put gripe about the custom preference. You could put complain about, moan about, whine about, whatever you want it to be. It could be even something totally random. It's your mod. You don't have to follow EA's script. So yeah, go for it. And you do that the same way we've been adding text before. Opening up the hash generator, getting the FMV32, pasting it in the string table, and entering the value. So you do that for both of these, okay? I just wanted to show you guys it right here at enthuse about. You could say amp up about whatever your social interaction is. Hello, so the next tuning resource that I want to make special note of is the headline tuning resource, okay? And basically in here, we're just putting 2 instance numbers of images, instance codes of images. So these are the little pop-ups that come up when a sim is performing the activity they like. The sims call them flyaways, so that's what I'm going to call them. You see here, they're called flyaway icons, so that's what I'm going to call them. However, we do have a problem here, because if you find them in the game file cruiser, they look like this, and you might be able to notice right off the bat, you're not going to have one for your custom preference. Now, if you are skilled enough in like Photoshop or whatever, or just photo editing, and you could like take this, export it, and change the image in here to an image of your custom preference, go ahead, do that, and then import it back into your package file, and then use the instance ID that you get for it. But I am not, and I was trying to figure out how to do it, but I couldn't figure out a way to maintain the transparency of this outer image without losing the white inside the image. I don't know. So I'm just going to use something similar, which is our bowling ball. It looks nothing like a soccer ball, but we are going to be using our bowling ball images for this. As you can see, they're 80 by 74. Now, you might also want to go in and just put a totally different image that doesn't have the green or red circles around them. But, I mean, it's totally up to you what you want. This isn't going to affect the functionality of the mod. It's just going to be like a visual thing, okay? So I'm going to put that down, and here I want to make note. So this first one, it says violin BG minus. Like I said, I based this off of the violin mod. The word, don't worry about that, but as it says minus here, you know that this is the one for negative, that is the red, and then it says plus down here, you know that this would be the green version of the image, of the flyaway image. They're 80 by 74. Just wanted to point that out. And then you have to go into its sim data file. Headlines have sim data files, and then change their icon instance IDs here as well. So that portion is up to you. Okay, so next I want to point out the adventure moment tuning resource, and they are right down here. So the first part is pretty straightforward. You're just putting the tuning ID here and here for the resource indicated in this note section right there. But down here, when you're adding text, I just want you to know I just want you to know what text this is, so you can know what to write in there. And so if you've seen the adventure moments, if you've been playing with likes and dislikes for a minute, you might have seen these pop-ups, like when a sim is working out, you'll get something that says, should they just throw in the towel? I don't know, throw in the towel and admit they dislike fitness, or admit they like fitness, or admit they like video gaming. And so that's this. I'll put a screenshot of it up on the screen so you know what I'm talking about. And so here you would enter that description right here. And when you're making your hash, that's what you're looking for. And then down here is the title, as it says, of your particular adventure moment. And that goes for both. This is the adventure moment for dislike, and this is the adventure moment for likes, okay? Next, I want to point out to you guys our snippet tuning resource for XML Injector and explain to you a little bit what XML Injector is. So it's this resort right here, which would be your creator name, snippet underscore sim preference underscore your custom preference. So XML Injector is basically what allows your interactions to show up in the game. It acts as a script file for multiple mods rather than having a unique script file for each of your mods. I'm sure at this point you've downloaded a mod that contains a script file with it, and what those script files do is inject the interactions into the game, and that's and so XML Injector does this for you when you add this new resource. So I formatted this the way that you need it to be, but I'm gonna leave a link to the description if you don't have link in the description if you don't have XML Injector, where you can download it, and then you can read up on the documentation for it to understand it a little better yourself. So right here under affordances, you would put the tuning ID for this social interaction, and then the tuning ID for our second social interaction for dislikes, our custom preference. And now I want to point out the broadcaster tuning resource in the other package file for those of you who may be working with an activity that requires a broadcaster. So we're just gonna minimize that. We're not gonna exit it out. You can have two windows of SimSport Studio open. Just click on it again. Go into My Projects, Custom Preference Tutorial. Go into the package file which calls Sim Preference Broadcaster. Open that up. And so if you've been working with this, you may have noticed that it had a broadcaster tuning resource here. This is pretty straightforward. I just wanted to point it out. Here in its XML tab, you create text that says this, which is from liking your preference. And then you would put the tuning ID for this buff, tuning ID for this trait. Then you would put the, make another text that says from disliking. You want to go ahead and put your, tuning ID for this buff, and then your tuning ID for this trait. And I'll talk more about broadcasters later, but for now, that's all you need to know. Okay, so we are back to our package file without the broadcaster, and now I'm going to leave you guys to go ahead and make all the necessary changes to these tuning resources. If you get confused, please leave a comment, but also in the examples portion of the folder you downloaded from my page, you would see that there's a package file of my completed homework custom preference, as well as the completed version of this soccer custom preference, so you can compare and contrast to your incomplete package file to see where all the necessary changes need to be made. The way I've learned to mod over these last few months is literally just opening up someone else's mod in packages files and seeing what they did, and like, oh, it's supposed to look like that, oh, it's supposed to be written like that. So yeah, go for it. Okay, so that's it for part 2 of our customs likes and dislikes tutorial. In part 3, we're going to be going over some super interactions that we need to add to our game and modify, and then we'll be done. So thank you guys for sticking with me. I hope to see you in part 3. This has been a really fun tutorial to make. So yeah, remember, please like and subscribe if you can, and I will see you in the next video.